Welcome to Plausible Foolishness. I'm Matt, and I've got a perspective on things.
What's going on, man? It's Saturday morning. My name is Ray, aka the Strong One, and I have a perspective on things as well, man. You ready to get started this morning, man?
Of course I am.
Man,
That's why I'm here.
dude, I think I pissed off a lot of people yesterday, bro.
Well, what's new?
There's nothing new. I mean, the reality is this: like my very presence demands anger for some reason on the intertubes and the internet, man. So it's all good. But yeah, dude.
Well,
Long
you're
story.
you're you know you're Steven from Django Unchained.
Yeah,
Django.
apparently Stephen from Django Untamed, even though Stephen would have defended the Democratic plantation. But, know your history, bro. Know your history. Um, but, anyways, man, welcome to Plausible Foolishness. We're doing a little Saturday special for you guys. Thank you so much for popping in and stopping by, man. We're going to do a little quick power hour here. And then we're going to get on with our lives, man, because that's what we do around here at Plausible Foolishness, because we do have lives as badly as you want to, label us as losers, but it is what it is. Remember that from Ace Ventura?
Who is her loser?
Loser. But we had a break in the action, a break of being dads for a second, and wanted to come up on here and address a couple things that are going on. There's three massive stories that I think we got to cover before Moore the news cycle pops in, and especially with the new latest and greatest development with the autopsy report of George Floyd that's been made public, by the way, which we'll save for the end of the show. But there's a lot of things to discuss, a lot of topics to cover. And I told the mad scientist, Mad Max, I was like, we got to do a show because the problem is by the time that we get to the next show,
Yeah.
some other stupidity will be brought up by the Democrats and we'll be talking about something else, because the MO at this point is, for the mainstream media, is it's fear and then division, fear, division. It's a constant cycle of COVID 1984, and then it's racism, which is hilarious because how much has people been talking about COVID 1984 in the last week?
Not at all.
It's almost like Thanos snapped away. It's
Yeah.
so weird.
It's just gone.
Weird. It's
People
like,
still wearing their masks.
oh yeah, man, obedience,
But
man. You gotta obey.
it's funny, the people wearing masks while rioting.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, oh, weird. Well, is it really about COVID 1984? Is it just the fact they didn't want to get busted for looting and destroying and all the good stuff?
That's a valid point. They had it on hand already, so it's a good point. I hadn't thought of that. Did you see the meme with the white kid stealing the box of Lego?
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, looting is wrong and all that, but the meme is actually pretty hilarious because he braves a riot, being white, a race riot. He braves it, being white, to go steal some Legos because Legos is
Yeah, I mean, because
so important to him.
Nothing screams I really care about the death of a man like stealing some Legos. Nothing.
Oh yeah, he's not there. He's not there because he cares about the death of a man.
Oh, but
I mean,
that.
But the rest of them,
I mean, nothing screams I really care about what happened to a man like stealing TVs at a Target. I mean, because that really shows your concern. Every time you flip on that TV, I bet
they're definitely combating systemic racism by destroying their own neighborhoods.
That makes total sense, and really jeopardizing the jobs of people that are minorities that possibly are working there. But hey, it's all good.
What's really interesting to me is that this is not just happening in Minnesota.
Oh,
it's in Washington D.C. It's in L.A. It's in.
Yeah.
Is it in New York? I'm sure it's in New York.
Yeah, no. Brooklyn was one of the first places where it got crazy. So you got Brooklyn, you got Washington D.C., you had San Jose, California, you had Texas, Houston, Texas was going off on this thing. St. Paul, Minnesota, which is not Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Tree Climber says it's in Georgia. We had people protesting here in Orlando at this cop's second home.
Yeah, now
or Windermere, actually.
Here's the thing, though. They did, to credit to the people here in Florida, that was a peaceful protest.
Sure,
So
sure,
I don't
yeah,
know
yeah, yeah.
how that went down because I haven't gotten to that news cycle yet. But I do remember
Well, the
seeing online that they were saying make it peaceful.
John Mina, the chief of police, I think. He
Mhm.
I mean, he basically made it known that he's not here. So,
Yeah.
there's no reason to be here,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. So,
So since we're talking about it already, let's lead into
especially
this.
because it was happening as he was getting arrested.
Exactly.
you know,
So
but
that brings me to what I pissed off a lot of people online
okay.
yesterday. Shocker. Um, I pointed out a couple things. One, the first things first was I flipped on my social media and to be honest, and I'm going to be very fair to everybody watching, the strong one is going to disappear from social media for an entire month. I have stolen David Rubin, his idea of just disappearing for a month and just not letting media consume you too much because God knows, like, I love being informed. I love being able to take what's actually happening and give a truthful response to what's happening, and I try to do that for the 34,000 followers on my page on TikTok and all my social media outlets and all of our fans here on all the Rubes in the Rube Nation, the Rube Empire. But I just think it's healthy, for a cleanse. You know what I mean? And I think I need a cleanse before this cycle is about to happen with the election. So I want to be back and ripping, roaring by July. And spoiler alert: there's some merch coming, bro. There's some merch. I'll have to tell you about that later, off
Mm-hmm.
the camera, man. So I don't know. There's a dude that hit me up and wants to do a little bit of merch, and it's pretty awesome. I got a little sample of it, but long story short is I want to disappear for June just to get my brain a little bit of a rest. But I'm going to be coming back now. Plausible Foolishness is still rocking every single week, and I'm just going to riff with the mad scientist Matt. I'm going to let him inform me on the topics that are that are happening of the week, and I'm just going to let my principles decide the first thing that comes out of my mouth when it comes to that stuff. Like, literally, I am going to rely solely on the mad scientist Matt to be my Sherpa through the madness of the of the news cycle, and we'll see how it goes. I suspect that it'll be a lot of fear, and then it'll be division. It'll probably be fear, and then it'll probably be division. It'll be fear and the division. Spoiler alert: history tends to repeat itself. Now, when I flip on my social media yesterday, the very first thing that pops up, surprisingly, had nothing to do with George Floyd.
Hmm.
It had to do with, I had very reasonably okay, smart friends of mine posting that Donald Trump, in light of the George Floyd situation, was trying to censor the internet. And I read it once, then I read it twice,
And you died
and
a
I
little inside.
thought,
Then you died a little inside.
then I turned it upside down, and then I was like, wait a minute, how in the blue hell does that make any sense whatsoever
It doesn't. It
at
only
all?
makes sense if you read the headline, because the headline was poised to make you think a thing rather than actually give you facts.
So my buddies, I love them. They're good guys, and I called both of them out pretty hardcore. Not in a way to be like you're a dick and you're an idiot type thing, but more of, do you understand what this legislation is, or this executive order that he's pushing for actually is about? And I had another buddy from Washington who is a hardcore Bernie bro, hardcore lefty, orange man bad, try his best to convince me that, oh, I'll get to that in a second, but let me explain what's happening here. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump makes a reasonable tweet on Twitter that mail in ballots can be used fraudulently. You can pack like, there are many documented cases. One recently, just recently, a couple weeks ago in Philadelphia, where there were more ballots submitted in a precinct than actual people that live there.
Huh.
And shocker, It
Interesting.
was for the Democratic Party. Not that the Democratic Party would ever cheat whatsoever. So he
Huh.
makes a tweet that if this is allowed, it will be massively unfair to the process. I think that's a reasonable tweet. Now, guess what Twitter did to that tweet?
Fact checked it.
They fact checked it.
Yeah.
And guess what their fact check leading article? Well, first, they put a fact check and said, this is a misleading statement. Here is our source of truth. And guess where they went to? Did you guess was it polling statistics? Was it
I mean,
government study on
fraudulent.
mail? Yeah, fraudulent. Mail. Blah blah blah. Nah. Guess what it was?
Planned Parenthood.
It was a CNN opinion piece.
Oh.
First of all, two curse words in the same process. A CNN.
Uh-huh.
CNN.
Mm-hmm.
The same people that told you over Memorial Day weekend that the coronavirus spiked. Somehow, even though nobody's getting tested on Memorial Day weekend, it spiked. That's another conversation for another time. Congratulations, CNN. But it was a CNN opinion piece on what the president had to say about mail-in ballots. I don't know if you guys know this, but
this person doesn't agree with him. That's a fact.
Plausible Foolishness is an opinion show, okay? That's why we tell you to not trust us and verify everything that we say, okay?
Mm-hmm. And we're bound to get it wrong from time to time. We're bound to get it wrong from time to time, but barely.
I don't think we have gotten it wrong on the show yet. I think eerily
there might be little details that go awry, But,
I think the only thing that I got wrong on was the Ahmed Aubrey thing. I was like, man, that video looks bad. But then I started seeing the surveillance videos from right before the incident and a week before, and then you're like, guess it wasn't KKK members just hunting on black people. But I will own that. Now, with that being said, interestingly enough, they combat a factual statement by Donald Trump that's corroborated by literally a couple weeks ago of mail-in fraudulent voting with a CNN opinion piece. Last time I checked, opinions are not facts. They're not facts. They're not facts. I can have an opinion and point you to a fact, but it doesn't necessarily mean. Let me see this. Oh my goodness. This is breaking news right here on Plausible Foolishness. Exclusive. Bro, are you ready for this?
I don't know if we are.
Dude, are you ready for this? Look at this, my man. Liberal logic. How awesome is that, bro?
That is cool.
That is freaking awesome, dude.
Who made that cartoon?
Dude, so literally this guy on TikTok. Oh, that's sweet. That is so sweet. Thanks, baby. I appreciate it. That just happened live, bro. If you're live on TikTok, you just saw that. I'm gonna have to. Oh, that's great. Listen, I can't show them all, man. I can't show it all to him, man. Dude. So this guy hit me up on because I was thinking about doing the Liberal Logic T-shirt for a long time, and this guy he's a screen printer, and he's out. I think he's out in Washington, and he was like, "Hey, listen, man, I'll start making some merch for you. I'll cut a deal." So we worked a little dealio, man. So,
nice.
Dude, we're doing. He just got me the first draft of the Liberal Logic T-shirt, so I'm pretty excited about that, man.
That's cool.
The people on the TikTok have been asking for one for a long time, so it's real now, bro. It's real. So, anyways, I digress.
People on here have been wanting it too.
I know, dude. Listen, I'll be wearing it. Trust me. And he made another shirt. I'm also going to flash it up here for 2 seconds. You can't see what it is. You'll see it soon. But what is going to say? Back to what I was saying. Yeah. So you can't.
Wait a second. I think I saw what it was. I'm just gonna. Is the number 10 involved?
Yes, there is. So I took that. He gave me a sticker of that, and I put it up on the gym. I put it in the gym, so it's in my gym right now.
That's awesome.
Up on the wall. So it's I didn't even come up with that idea. He did. He was like, "Hey, dude, I'm gonna make this for you." I'm like, "Okay, bro." And this is
Well, it was a
freaking.
great. I mean, you came up with the original.
Well, I mean, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, but listen, dude, there's only so many original thoughts that can come through my head. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, back to what I was saying. I can have an opinion on something, but point you to a factual statement, a factual reality, right? Twitter decided
Okay.
to
I'll be right
take.
there.
Twitter decided to fact check. No, you're good. Keep going, man. You got to do your thing. Twitter decided to take a literal opinion and pose it as a fact. That's a problem. You cannot do that. You can't do that and then claim that you are an open platform, because that's literally taking content that's taking an original statement by a person, aka Donald Trump, and then what you're doing is basically saying that that content is false, and I'm going to fact check it with another false statement. That is what we call publishing, kids. You're a publisher at that point. If you make that decision, if you decide to say, listen, I have an open platform, anybody can come on here and say whatever they want to, but the moment that I step in and tell you that your statement that's grounded in truth, I can now claim that it's fraudulent and claim that it is needs to be fact checked. You have now edited the content that's come onto your platform. You have either added or subtracted to the original content. Therefore, you are a publisher. And the part of this executive order that Donald Trump has put out and posed out there is that social media platforms like YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, well, TikTok can't because it's run by China and they don't care about that stuff. But all the Silicon Valley um, social media platforms have to pick a lane now.
Hmm. But they have
Cannot
a presence in America, so they can still be sued.
They can be sued, but you know
Well,
what,
yeah,
what,
I mean,
what
in
what's the
America they can be sued. So
true? What's the famous line from Dark Knight? The Chinese will not extradite one of their own.
yeah, of course not. But
But but
whatever their company
yeah,
is in America can surely be held liable now.
sorry, one of my buddies, Tex Wilson, just hopped on. It's getting real. It's getting real. But anyways, the you can't go on and be in Silicon Valley and say that you are YouTube, because if you notice, we don't really do this show on YouTube. There is a reason why. Because YouTube is a fraudulent statement. It's not about you anymore. It's about them, right?
Yeah.
They control what's going on in the publish. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Texas, it's coming very soon, man. I'll make the announcement in July. Um, People are like, I want one. um, but long story short is you cannot say to people that you are an open platform and then muzzle or blacklist or modify the content that comes on your page, because you're either a platform or a publisher. And I was explaining this to people online in very simple terms. A platform is AT&T. If I decide to pick up my phone and call Mr. Whaley on my phone from AT&T, AT&T cannot hop on and say, like, excuse me, sir, you cannot use that phrase, and we are going to fact check every single word that you just said to Matt Whaley.
Mm-hmm. And we're erasing this. We're shutting down your access,
Yeah.
and you're not allowed to make calls anymore.
Now, the uber liberals that want to defend this were like, well, it's not like they're stopping you from talking to Matt Whaley. Now, imagine me talking to Matt Whaley, but every 2 seconds they pop in and say, well, we need to fact check that statement. Well, we need to fact check that statement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to fact check that statement. Even if the fact check is true, you have now modified the form of communication. You have modified the message. You have therefore stepped into the realm of a publisher. So you have become the New York Times. You have become the Washington Post. You have become, dare I say, fake news CNN. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And when CNN says something wrong or says something that is not true or fraudulent, they are held liable for it.
Like the Covington Catholic kids.
Exactly. That most recent situation. Remember, CNN spun this entire story that there was some racist MAGA hat wearing white kids in DC. And when the truth came out, the kid made $250 million. Okay. Was it yeah, it's 250. It was ridiculous. It was a big chunk of change because
So how do we get on CNN fraudulently?
they need to paint us in a very racist light. It wouldn't work for me because they won't touch black people. They'll ignore when black people are being racist. Like the black supremacists that beat the piss out of the old person in the nursing home. But it is what it is.
Mm.
But you heard about that one, right?
Yeah, I saw him punching the hell out of this person, man. It's
because the narrative is only white people can be racist, but then when we have a clear black supremacist beating up a white person,
this is a result of the oppression that he's been under his entire life.
Yeah.
And he's a product of that oppression.
Yeah.
He really can't be held responsible for his actions because basically he's an upright animal.
Yeah. Basically, no, yeah. So they can't verify because any settlement that's outside of court, they can't verify. But very reliable sources say that. I'm sorry. Back to the Covington Catholic. I had a question about it. Is he made almost $250 million off that? Because you got to keep in mind they took a underage child,
Mm-hmm.
blasted his image all over the world, and pointed to him as
racist. Smug, arrogant, racist kid.
Yeah,
smirking, an evil smirk at this poor Indian fellow.
Yeah. And
Native American fellow. Sorry, indigenous people fellow.
Did you say Indian?
First Nations fellow. Don't cancel me.
Don't cancel me. But yeah, I mean, they literally took a frame shot and painted this narrative that was completely wrong because they're a publisher. They are held liable for the things that come out of their distribution because they control the content. Okay, if you're a platform like AT&T can't get sued if two terrorists talk to each other on their platform because AT&T said, listen, I'm not controlling the flow of that. I'm just an open platform and providing it for everybody. I can't be held liable. CNN, Washington Post cannot do that because they do control what's coming out of their deal. So if they're found to be fraudulent, they can be sued for libel and for defamation, just like the Covington Catholic kids. So social media has operated in this weird world where they claim to be an open platform but act like a publisher.
So they were having their cake and eating it too.
Exactly. That is literally the definition of having your cake and eating it too. You can't do both. You cannot say, hey, we're an open platform here in Facebook, and then get put in Facebook jail because wrong think. And how often does that happen? That's why I disappeared from Facebook for almost a year and a half. I was like, are you kidding me? I can't post a truthful statement on here without getting blocked. That's why I jumped to Instagram, and eventually that's what led me to TikTok, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, at the end of the day, how are you an open platform if you can get in trouble for the post that you made? And I talked about this last night on my live. I think I've only been in trouble on Instagram. We've only been in trouble on Instagram like twice.
Yeah.
For Plausible Foolishness. One was the picture where I posted of Margaret Sanger talking in front of the KKK. You remember that?
Mm.
And then I reposted it anyways because you can't just whitewash history.
Yeah.
Because you can't. Bohawk, what's up, brother? You can't, like, as bad as images may seem, you can't hide the fact that Margaret Sanger, a known eugenicist, known racist, known woman who wanted to euthanize and kill off the Negro race by aborting babies, 657 every single day, by the way, in the United States of America. Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah.
Oops, truth. You can't whitewash the fact that she posed in a picture in front of the Ku Klux Klan, preaching to them how she was going to eradicate the Negro in front of the world.
Yep. Laying out her plan.
Her
plan to parenthood.
And here's the thing. You know what's funny is we're so conditioned to think that bad guys never get away with it because of our movies and media. She's a bad guy that got away with it, guys.
Yeah, they have awards in her honor.
51%
They were given
of
to
black.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. But that's the funny thing is 51% of blacks have been aborted since 1976. So since 1976, before I was born, it was a crapshoot whether I was going to make it into the real world. It was more likely that I would die by the hands of my mom than anybody else. That's the sad truth. Margaret Sanger won, man. And that's the crazy thing. So we got blocked for that one. And I think the other one we got blocked for on our Plausible Foolishness Instagram was the um, something about feminism. I was probably, it was like a patriarchy post or something like that.
Mm.
And I laughed it, wiped my behind with it, reposted it, and they didn't say anything. It's still up there. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. You cannot say that you're an open platform and regulate the content that is going to go on your deal. Now, there are some exceptions to that, okay? Just like there's exceptions to free speech, right? You can't yell fire in a movie theater, right? You can't create panic, blah, 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 blah. Okay, totally get that.
For sure.
You know, you can't have
but even then, that's not 100% accurate.
100% true. Absolutely true, right? So what I'm saying is this. I get it. Get the child molesters, get the disgusting people off of whatever, okay? Because the things they're doing or adding or the content they're putting on there is illegal, okay? You get arrested for that stuff, right? Last time I checked, unless you're Jeffrey Epstein. Have you seen that documentary yet?
No, not yet.
Oh, bro.
I don't have time, man.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I listen, I stay up till like 2 a.m. watching this stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
No, bro, you need sleep.
What?
Sleep is one of the most important things you can do.
I have plenty of time to sleep.
No, I don't want to grow old and then have you growing old alongside me getting dementia and Alzheimer's because you didn't sleep.
100%. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, I'm trying to listen. I'm trying to...
Don't turn into Sleepy Joe.
Love my God with all my heart. Be the best darn husband of all time. Be the best dad and bench 600 pounds, okay? Can a brother just do that?
Yeah.
And then I want to spread some truth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then sleep.
And
God rested on the seventh day, my friend.
Hey, I feel you.
If you want to honor God, rest.
Hey, I'm going to honor God right now by telling the truth. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Now, here's the thing, okay? You cannot say, I am an open platform and then edit.
Yeah.
And that's the whole situation. That is the whole situation.
We don't like what you're saying, and so you don't get to say it anymore.
Yes.
Well, you're not a platform anymore.
Exactly. So
you're a publisher.
So I had an old
colleague. Because I can submit an article to the New York Times, and they can say, I don't like what you're saying. We're not going to publish this.
Cool. And then guess what you can do? You can go onto a blog and post it, right? Because that's an open platform. They can't deny you from doing that, right?
Correct.
But that's the difference. New York Times is a publisher. Exactly. They're liable for what happens. A blog is not liable because it's just an open platform, right? Twitter is an open platform, I thought, but apparently not.
Nope.
YouTube's an open platform.
Because they feel they have a responsibility to make sure that untruths are not disseminated.
Exactly.
No, you don't have a responsibility unless you're a publisher.
Exactly.
Are you a publisher?
No,
not at all. You're a platform. You provide a space for anybody to say whatever they want. Then you don't have that responsibility anymore.
Exactly.
You have a responsibility to keep your platform running. That's it.
And that is the crux of the executive order. So I had a guy blowing me up at 1:30 in the morning. Now he lives in Washington, to be fair, okay? Blowing me up saying, Orange man bad. This is only happening because of this one tweet. And I said, well, listen, that's a very myopic view of the situation because for the last, 4 or 5 years, they've been shadow banning, blocking, manipulating, and fact-checking conservative content on all these platforms. This is just the straw that broke the camel's back. When you falsely fact-check something with a fraudulent opinion piece, if I'm Donald Trump, I'm going to say something about that. Period. Because to the letter of the law...
Especially the way he's been demonized constantly. You've got to defend yourself. You got to fight back.
And he is fighting back because at the end of the day, this has to hold up to the letter of the law. Are you an open platform? or are you a publisher? Eli Drake just jumped on. Eli Drake. I pray that he's actually the real Eli Drake.
That would be
That would
awesome.
be amazing. That would be absolutely amazing. Like the TNA, Eli Drake. But what I'm trying to say
NWA.
is NWA, brother. Oh man, I miss NWA. Is that bad?
Are
Is
you
that
enjoying
sad?
Carney Land and all that?
Carney Lane's hilarious, but I want to see some wrestling again.
Of
I want to
course.
see that and wrestling.
Yeah,
But
it's coming eventually.
I know, man. Just
Yeah.
obey, wear your mask. But what I was gonna say is that is not an orange man overreaction. That is just the tip of the iceberg, kiddos. It's been happening for a long
Yeah,
time.
we've been saying this forever that this is what needs to happen.
Like this is the reason you and I got off of really Facebook. We got off of YouTube.
What sucks is
Because
that Instagram is owned by Facebook now, but
I know.
well, really, when I first heard about it, I too was like, is this governmental overreach? Is
Yep.
this is he abusing his position as president of the United States? But when you really break it down, what's an executive order? He's not using an executive order to write a law.
Mm-hmm.
He's establishing to the executive branch, which is the enforcement of laws, that this is how we are interpreting this law that already exists. We are interpreting this law this way, and no longer will they receive no longer will we not enforce the law like this.
Yep.
They are liable if they censor, because that
Yep.
makes them a publisher. So
Yep.
I mean, ultimately, we didn't need a new law. We just needed to enforce the laws that we have, which
Yep.
is what the executive branch is supposed to do.
Yep.
So it's not an overreach. It's exactly what's needed to be done this whole time, but
Yeah, it's not a
it doesn't
it's
suit.
just
Yeah.
yeah, it's enforcing the laws that are on the books. It's the very thing that the four last globalist presidents refused to ever do.
Mm-hmm.
It is we've already had laws against illegal immigration. We just don't enforce them. We have laws against publishers and platforms. We just don't enforce it. It's selective enforcement, and that is the massive problem. To your point,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that was situation one that magically happened, and you would not believe the absurdity of very rational, smart people believing that Donald Trump was censoring the internet when nothing could be further from the truth. If Donald Trump actually implements this, which he will actually make the internet more free.
Yeah. Less censored.
You can't be censored. You
Yeah.
cannot be censored. Alex Jones.
Or if you can be censored, but if you are censored, okay, you have some recourse.
Yep.
A, B, the website that is censoring you is now open to liability for anything that they let pass.
Yep. Yep. I mean, and that's
so
awful, right?
Now the real question is, what do these companies do at this point? Do they just stick it out and wait for the next Democrat to get elected so that enforcement doesn't happen? Do they go? They can go. I see it when I was talking on Discord, and if you're not on the Discord, get on it. The link is in the chat. Also, if you're not a follower, then we're gonna follow the channel and then join the Discord. Okay.
Bring it.
But what was I gonna say? Oh, okay. So they can do one of two things. I think they can either go on a censorship spree. They're like, okay, if that's the way we are, we're censoring everything.
Yep.
Or, which will ultimately hurt them, I think.
Well, they wouldn't do it.
Or
You couldn't do it.
they pull back and they're like, okay, I guess we're the wild, wild west again. And amen.
They couldn't do a censor spree because they would lose too much money. They would lose tons of money on that because then you're going to have a fundamental rejection of what they have. If YouTube starts censoring everything, the Alphabet stock is already going down. Like the YouTube thing is fading very fast because of things like Twitch, because of things like there are other places you can go other than YouTube now.
Although there is a story on Twitch. Twitch isn't there was a moderator who self-identified as a deer person. All right. And once this person, I think, might have been trans as well. I don't know. But
Okay.
once this person, got the job as a moderator, made a video saying that how this person, I don't know what gender the person was, what actual
Yeah.
gender, um, saying that they have all the power now and they're gonna censor the crap out of you, and I'm sure expletives were thrown about, and apparently that person got fired.
Yeah, I don't see Twitch going down that road because Twitch is a video gaming platform, and video gaming has fundamentally rejected this SJW bullcrap, though. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
well, the person also said that gamers are white supremacists, racists, and most gamers. I think they did qualify it with most.
Oh my god!
And
Wait a minute. So now you're a COG player. You're a white supremacist. Is that what it is now?
yeah, and
Oh my god!
but like these are the people who make it into like how do they make it into moderator teams? And this Twitch is owned by Amazon. Amazon owns
Yep.
the Washington Post, I believe.
Yep.
Not necessarily the best source of
No.
of
No.
unbiased thought.
Yeah. What is austere? Austere. Uh, was it Washington Post that said the austere
Oh,
terrorist
yeah,
scholar, or whatever?
austere
Yeah.
scholar, yes.
But I think that the leadership in Twitch fundamentally wants to be the opposite of YouTube, and I think that's why they're kind of winning that battle, because you can actually come over here and have an open platform, which that's why we came
I
over.
mean,
And we've had
so far we've been
success.
fine.
Yep.
We're not super huge, but you
But
got
it's
other channels like the Conspiracy Horsemen that have lots of followers and whatnot, and they're doing just fine too.
yeah, it's
Whatever.
interesting to me that we were doing relatively the same content over at YouTube and couldn't gain any traction whatsoever.
Mm.
We bounce over to TikTok, we bounce over to Twitch, and magically,
Speaking of traction,
you know what I
we'd
mean?
like more traction.
100%.
Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, point them to the show. Let's get some more viewers and let's build this chat up.
Amen.
I love seeing the same people, but I'd like to, let's see some new people. Let's add some to the fold. Let's increase the size of the Rube Empire.
We got a good question on TikTok. Comes from 1984 Invisible Sun. Hey, sir, love your content. How do you think that we end race hatred? We're going to get into that right now, baby. You ready to rock? You ready to end it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
This is how you end race hatred. Remember who we all are. Human beings.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Bum, ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum.
I think more. I hate to quote the prophet Morgan Freeman, but he's famous for saying, "If we stop talking about it, if we stop focusing on it, we're going to get back to the business, just being human beings." And when we look at situations through that lens, it will change the perspective. So, with that being said, let's go over the newest racist situation that blew up on Monday and is burning down the cities in our country right now.
Yeah.
So let's stick with the theme here. Pick a lane, right? So we talked about censorship. We talked about platform versus, open platform. Now let's pick a lane. Are you really about justice or are you about anarchy? Which is it? And what's being proven over and over again now is that
I wouldn't say anarchy. Let's say chaos.
Oh, chaos. Okay, sorry. Captain Chaos. Was that his name? Was that Butter's name?
Not Captain.
Professor Chaos.
Professor Chaos. Yes.
Professor Chaos strikes again. Oh man, Butters. Sorry. We're dating ourselves. South Park. It's a show that we used to watch that you used to be able to say whatever you wanted to and then didn't get offensive, and now our SJW younger brothers and sisters can't handle it. But which is it? Do you want justice or do you want chaos? So on Monday, clearly a very brutal scenario happens. A police officer arrests a guy. He's not resisting arrest, and the officer chooses in the moment to put his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck as George Floyd is screaming, "I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe." Now, all the videos surrounding the situation, and we have a very breaking development that we're going to reveal to you in the next 30 seconds that might change a little bit of the scenario, but does not change the very simple fact that there was no need for a knee to the back of the neck. Would you agree with that, Mr. Matt Whaley?
100.
Okay. Every rational human being that saw this video did not say, well, that was justified. Put that knee in the back of the neck. Nobody said that. So
Yeah.
for all the white people,
Everybody agrees this was police brutality. This should not have happened. This guy shouldn't have died.
This was a clear case of police brutality.
Mm-hmm.
We've never said that police brutality doesn't happen, because brutality happens because we are all humans.
Mm-hmm.
We all are fallen. We're all sinful.
Power corrupts.
And we're corrupt.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. What we don't agree with is that this is automatically racist because of the skin color of the two people involved.
Yes.
No.
That's
not, no. Dang it.
That is the problem with this whole story.
This is why we still have conversations about racism, is because when a white person and a black person are involved in something like this, automatically it's racism.
Automatically racist, even though it's not. The situation, this cop who completely was brutal to this guy did not do it out of the animus of racism, period.
As far as we know, right? Because we don't know what was going through his head. Okay?
Because he wasn't yelling the N-word as he's doing it. Yeah. He's just apprehending a guy.
I haven't seen any journals where he's lamenting about the N-words.
Yeah. So with that being said, yeah. But we take a video and immediately prescribe a narrative to it that this cop was just a white supremacist, again, trying to kill a black guy again.
And here's another thing that is that because we don't have those things showing that this guy was just racist and today was the day he was finally going to kill a black man. Yeah. Because we don't have any of those things, then the narrative becomes this kind of thing only happens to black people.
Yep.
And that's bogus too.
Yes.
That's completely bogus. It happens to lots of people of all races, skin colors, whatever, because in many cases, the police have too much power. The government has too much power. Yes. We let it get too big.
Agreed. So now, back to the situation. Now, are you for justice or are you for chaos?
For justice.
So with that being said, we don't know the whole circumstance. Most of these cases, we need to wait a couple days before we make that assertion. But immediately, because there's so many sheeple out there that believe this bullcrap, that believe this narrative, immediately jump to this being a racist situation. And instead of, and you know what they did in Minnesota.
And so many people don't even question it.
Well, they locked arms and they walked across the bridge of Selma to protest.
Selma, Minnesota?
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they did.
They
signed documents saying that they wouldn't get violent, that they would not defend themselves, that they would, that this would be purely peaceful.
No, they just burnt down Minnesota or Minneapolis. They burnt down a Target and an AutoZone and a freaking
Walmart.
Because here's the thing. Here's the problem. If you truly wanted justice, you should be waiting outside of the police precinct protesting what happened. But instead, you chose to pick soft targets, which is what terrorists do, by the way. What? And burn it down. Okay? Now, this being said, on Friday, the police officer in the video was arrested Friday morning. So can someone explain to me why Atlanta was burning, why Houston was burning, why San Jose was messed up, why Brooklyn was burning, and why Washington, D.C. was rushed by protesters after the guy who was accused of racism is arrested.
And on top of that, by the time the story hit the news, the 4 officers were already fired.
Yes.
By the time I heard about it, they were already fired.
All 4 officers are fired, and the guy who put the knee on the back of the neck was arrested by Friday morning. So can you explain what happened last night for me? Because that's not justice at that point. You have usurped the justice place, because you had me at, they're trying to seek justice, blah, blah, blah. But after he's arrested, you're going to burn down places? You're going to burn down St. Paul? You're going to burn down, give me a break.
Trying to break the police barrier at the White House?
Yeah,
because Donald Trump did something to... Like, how is he involved in this?
I mean, Orange Man bad. I mean,
well, he did fly to Minneapolis and talk to that officer and tell him, hey, why don't you go put a knee on a black guy? Why don't you go do that? He did do that. But, I mean...
Yeah. But here's the thing.
Idiotic.
Yes. Now, here's the crazy
and then, well, and... Sorry to interrupt. But while this is... while while riots are happening, while this whole story is going down, memes are being created saying that you are, you're basically reiterating what Joe Biden said, that you're not black.
Yes.
If you support Donald Trump because of what's happening now. How? Especially because immediately by Tuesday or Wednesday, he said, I'm directing the FBI and DOJ to make sure that justice is served in this case.
But that doesn't fit with the narrative.
He's just saying that to, because he has to.
Yeah, Orange Man bad.
You didn't like it when we said that about Barack Obama.
Of course.
That he's just, playing the good Christian because he has to get votes.
Give me a break.
Here,
but that's the thing. What did you actually want? Did you actually want justice? Or did you just want to steal some TVs from Target?
Bobby the Bull says, I can almost hear Soros snickering around the corner.
Yeah, exactly. Deep state definitely involved. But this is what we're talking about, guys. We're talking about pick a lane.
Mm-hmm.
Have some logic to your thinking. If you're going to say you're an open platform and then publish, you're not an open platform. If you're going to say that you want justice for George Floyd, but then burn down the city after the cops are fired and after he's arrested.
Yeah. Where's the justice? Where's the justice for the people whose businesses are getting burned? Okay.
Yeah. Did you see the video of the black guy who was weeping? Not the 1992 one, but the recent one in Minnesota.
There's a new one. That's good.
Yeah.
At least there's some people, man. So many people in my church have been, voicing their solidarity.
Mm-hmm.
The usual thing. They're not getting political, but they are getting racial.
Yep.
You're seen and all that jazz. And
is that a Christian stance, being racial? I thought in 1 Corinthians it said that we're neither women or man or Greek or Jew.
Well, they're just their hearts are breaking for their fellow man. Is how they would put it.
Okay, gotcha.
For their fellow man, but they're not informed, and whatever. And so then somebody posted a post. Somebody reposted a post by a black man who has said that he walks his dog. He goes for walks in his neighborhood because his neighborhood is mostly white, always with his dog and with his daughter. Because when he walks with his dog, he's just a pet owner, and when he walks with his daughter, he's a loving father. But if he were to be walking by himself, he's scared that the cops would be called on him, and so on and so forth. And they're posting this, obviously out of compassion. Like, this is sad that this guy feels this way, and I agree, it is sad that this guy feels this way. Because I don't think he has any reason to feel that way.
Well, statistically, he doesn't, but,
Now, he also made the comment that he can't go bird watching in his neighborhood. And I think there might be a little bit of a degree of truth to that, because random person that you don't know who happens to be black has got binoculars, looks like they're casing a joint. Potentially. Agreed. It's probably unlikely.
This is my eyes rolling really slowly, but yeah, keep going.
But let's give him the benefit of the doubt that that's actually accurate. But either way, I want to ask him: did anybody in your neighborhood make you feel that way, or are you just putting that on your neighbors? Because that's a kind of racist, bro.
And
Because of the
project.
color of their skin,
Yes.
you're gonna be treated a certain way.
Yep.
You don't like it when you're doing the exact opposite. It's not reverse racism, but you're doing what you're claiming that people will do to you.
Exactly.
All right.
It goes back to what it was like the string of remember when the video cam started happening, and there was how everybody claimed that I get pulled over just because I'm black all the time. And there was like 3 cases nationally that got busted,
They got
wide
blown
up,
and then immediately torn down because they were completely bogus.
they're completely bogus
Because all they had to do was release the body cam footage, which body cams has been a fantastic thing, and it should be in every police. It should be by law.
exactly
In every police department, because that's a control against tyranny.
it is definitely a control against tyranny. It's an accountability for the police officer,
Mm-hmm.
and it's accountability for the person.
It puts power back into our hands.
100%. So,
But
back to
I want to go further on the other thing is that in this guy's statement, the other thing about it is that it's the white people's problem. Obviously he's projecting onto them what they're going to do to him if he walks by himself because of the color of their skin, and it's their problem to be dealt with. But let's say that when we give him the benefit of the doubt of the bird watching thing, it looks like he's casing a joint, okay? Right? Why is it the white person who is a frothing racist?
Yeah.
For thinking that. There's a reason why they think that. It's not a good reason.
Yeah, here's what I would say. I would say this. I think that every single person should have a reasonable amount of suspicion for every single person.
Agreed.
Not because of their race, but because of the fact that we're all humans. And humans
True. I agree with you 100%. Right? But we can't deny that there is a big problem.
I would never
in various communities.
What I would say is that there are problems for all communities.
Sure.
Agree on that.
Sure.
I would say that we should all be reasonably suspicious. And I think that the flip side is we need to understand that I am a very large brown person. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when I walk into places, clearly I make people uncomfortable. Okay. Sure. there is no ifs, ands, or buts doubt about that.
Because you have more power than them physically.
Yes. Because I could snap their neck in 3 seconds if I was a raving psychopathic lunatic.
And it's not nonsensical to think that. It's the same as if, regular Joe black guy walking down the street comes across 3 guys with their heads shaved, big beards, wearing leather and stuff like that. Would it be nonsensical to be afraid of that?
Sorry, Texas Wilson told me that I am no longer I'm no longer black because I don't vote for Donald Trump. So would it be stated for the record? Sorry, but no, it's not because here's the thing: there is a reality. If you're a woman walking down the street and any man of any color approaches you, he has a physical power over you, mm-hmm. right? I would be concerned about any dude approaching me if I was a 5'2", $120 chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is why for me, and I've advocated this for a long time, is pack an equalizer. There's a thing called a gun.
Sure. But we can't deny. Like, I agree with the idea that there's a narrative about the black community in the news media. I mean, some of it justified because of the crime level.
Sure.
I
think Chicago is very justified. I would be very nervous even as a black, especially as a black man statistically, because 90% chance that I'd be killed by another black person. But Chicago is a horrible place.
Mm-hmm.
It's run by Democrats. owned by Democrats, and it is a Democratic hellhole, period. So I would be nervous if anybody approached me from any place because that place is a hellhole,
So
Now,
the point I'm trying to get to is that there's a cultural problem that
sure,
never gets addressed.
sure. I think
You
that
know,
there
it
is,
it, it sucks. It
yeah,
sucks that this is the narrative for the black community in the news media and all over the place, and partially justified because of this cultural problem.
sure.
And it's a problem caused by the lack of fathers in the households, and and the poverty. I mean, it's not caused by the poverty, but there.
Poverty doesn't cause it. Here's what it is it is it's an easier excuse to justify what you do. Because if you go to West Virginia and there's a bunch of poverty, there's a lot of crime too. Because guess what?
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
poor, and
Well,
it's
yeah, we
easier.
have the same. We have
Yeah,
the stigma that the black rap enthusiast
sure,
has is the same as the trailer trash
100%,
white person.
100%.
You know
But that is a bigger condition of the human condition. We are all
exactly,
fallen. That's the
exactly.
whole deal.
But like,
So
but when we don't ever talk about culture, and we only talk about the thoughts of white people that we've never even talked to,
oh, sure, that's racist.
we're missing solutions.
Sure. Well, I think there's a lot of the thing is this is I would be a hypocrite to tell people to blindly trust anything because I've said that a million times. I'm wearing an InfoWars short as we do this podcast, so I clearly am a verify then trust type of person. So don't trust anybody, verify and then trust.
Mm-hmm.
But what I would say is this: I think that what's missing in this entire conversation, okay, culturally, whatever, is actual facts, actual reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
We're also
we
we're also missing
jump over
talk
that.
treating people as individuals.
Yes, yes. Every person is completely different. Ben Carson grows up in the crap holes of Detroit. Mom couldn't read. Every single statistic that you would give this guy or impugn on this guy would say he's going to be a gangbanger down the road. And then he ends up, separating conjoined twins, the first person to ever do that, right?
Yeah.
So,
First successful hemispherectomy. Brilliant neurosurgeon.
and for every story like that, you have the white kid that grew up in white privilege with millions of dollars that goes to jail for his entire life because he completely squanders and destroys it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, like that's just the reality, right? So what I would say is this: at the end of the day, all of these stories that are presented to us, let's take a week before we react to it.
Hmm.
Let's take 1 week, see what actually happened
It's never gonna
before
happen.
we start burning down cities for justice. Because breaking news happened as we started this show today. You want to tell the kiddos at home what happened, my friend? With
There's a coroner report. An autopsy was performed on George Floyd, and this is from complex.com.
Okay.
In the first paragraph, the preliminary results of George Floyd's autopsy suggest there were a number of factors that contributed to the 46-year-old's death. The report, conducted by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner, states there were no physical findings that support a diagnosis of traumatic asphyxia or strangulation. However, the combined effects of being pinned down by an officer, as well as his underlying health conditions and any potential intoxicants in his system, likely contributed to his death.
Okay. So, with that being said, does it dismiss the police officer from putting his knee on the back of the guy's neck? Not at all. That's police brutality. I'm glad we caught it on tape. Glad all 4 of those cops got fired, and potentially we're looking at a situation that may have contributed to the factors that led down the path of Mr. Floyd's demise. But we also need to take into account a couple things. Floyd did try to use a counterfeit $20 bill. He may or may not have known of doing that, right? I can understand that. I'll throw that and dismiss that out. But now we're talking about intoxicants inside of his body. What type of intoxicants? What did he have in his system? Did they distinguish that in the toxicology report? Did they say what it was?
I'm looking. I don't see.
Okay. So intoxicants, is that like code word for drugs or booze? Which one is it? We're reading through the report as we speak right
Yeah.
now. We're deciphering it right now, right? Now, with that being said, does that diminish what happened to Floyd? I don't think so at all. I think that the camera speaks for itself, just like in the Aubrey case. Now, people look at the Aubrey case and like, oh, he got gunned down at what? No, Aubrey rushed guys with guns.
I don't think we have the actual like
Actual
fine
breakdown.
details of the
Okay, we'll get there.
coroner's
We'll get
report.
there.
And
Now,
of course, they're saying that this has been. How can we trust the medical examiner for the police?
Sure,
et cetera,
100%. And I get both sides of that.
And they're the one person's talking about Eric in the Eric Garner case that they did something similar. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I don't either. But what I would say is
I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't remember that being talked about.
Yeah, the cops are going to protect their own. Okay, that's a fact. We understand that. Totally get it. But what I would say is this: in all of these cases, every single one of them, from Ahmaud Arbery, because here's the deal: if we would have taken 1 week for the Ahmaud Arbery, then we understand why it took 2 months for them to take any action towards the guys. Sorry, when you have surveillance video of Ahmaud Arbery being there a week before, and the day of him dying, and then him running out of the house, running away from being caught, and then running at people with guns,
Mm-hmm.
that changes the story.
Yeah, his name still shows up on the "We Stand with You" memes or this has to stop memes where they list all the names. His name's still there, and it will be forever.
So is Michael. Was it Michael Johnson? The hands up, don't shoot. I saw one of my friends post that. I'm like, you realize the hands up, don't shoot was complete fraud.
Yeah.
The guy.
I saw a meme that it had Ahmaud Arbery and it had Michael Brown.
Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute. Michael Brown robbed a gas station, was running down the middle of the street, refused to get off the street, and rushed a cop for his gun.
Rushed the cop. All the cop wanted was for him to get off the street.
Exactly. And broke the cop's skull. Broke his skull.
Mm-hmm.
But we stand with you, Michael Brown. Get the blank out of here with that bullcrap.
Yep.
There are people that still think that George Zimmerman was a white guy. Like that's hilarious to me too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wait a minute, the white Hispanic. Wait a minute, why is he a white Hispanic? I've never heard of a white Hispanic before. But that's another story for another time. But all of these cases, let's stop immediately attributing race to the situation. Because if we go down the statistical facts and we go down the reality, I think it was in 2019, white officers killing black guys. There was 9 cases in the entire country. 9. I wonder how many black cops killed white guys and white guys killing white guys and black cops killing black guys.
None of that matters. None of that matters because that doesn't promote the story.
9 in 2019. 9. Out of all the cases, out of all the situations, out of all the criminal activities, only 9 cases where a white police officer killed a black man. And we have burning down the city for something that doesn't happen very often.
How many cases were there of the others?
But that's what I'm saying. Come on.
We don't know.
We don't know.
Because nobody's tracking that. Because that doesn't help. It doesn't help the story.
Doesn't help the narrative. But 657 black kids every single day. Sorry, I keep throwing that stat out until people get it.
I'm gonna be right back.
No, you do your thing. But this is what I'm getting at for everybody. We don't know the entire story. You want to end the racism bullcrap in America? One, let's start with the fact that we're all human beings. Period. We're all human beings. Every single one of us. With that being said, we are all sinful. We have all fallen short of the glory of God. We're all capable of evil. We're all rotten. That is why we desperately need Christ Jesus in our lives period, full stop. So when we start there, let's not attribute motive every single time this happened, which is funny because in 2019, only 9 times it happened. And you maybe have heard of like one case out of the 9. Because here's the facts. If we start breaking down the facts and the stats, totally different game. But we don't want to break down the stats and facts. We want to push the narrative. But we got to understand that we are all flawed. We're all evil. And if we start there and understand we're all humans and take 1 week to hear the entire story, I think less buildings would burn down and less people would be hurt and less things would happen.
If we stopped treating individual cases as examples of what we're doing is we're taking an incident and making it an example of every incident.
Yep.
And we're taking one person and making him an example of every person in a community.
Yep.
You know, like we're dealing. This is what we're doing. We're building monoliths instead of treating these things individually. Every single one individual. Ahmaud Arbery happens. We need to look at it as an individual instance, not as a monolith.
Yep.
Not as a chip off the monolith. And then we can go back afterwards and look at the statistics and find where the actual monoliths are, because they do exist. And when we do that, I think we'll find that the monolith is government.
Usually is.
Government is our enemy, for the most part. You know, bloated, overpowered government is our enemy.
Yep, I agree.
The black guy who lives in our neighborhood is not our enemy. You know, not necessarily. I mean, we treat that on an individual basis. Treat everybody as an individual.
You know who's more dangerous than that black guy in the corner of your street? The media.
Yeah.
And the story they tell on both sides of that poor guy. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it goes, man. And that is the thing. Our government is our enemy. Listen, I get it. You guys say Orange Man bad because the TV told you to say that. You're part of the media problem. I say Orange Man bad because Orange Man's a human, so we have to verify, not trust, verify, and then see what his actions are. I've seen his actions so far. I don't really have a problem with them thus far, other than the overblown hysteric response to what is now the flu that none of you are talking about, by the way. Weird. But again, we have to be able to delineate who the true enemy is here. The true enemy is the media that will keep you afraid of a invisible flu that nobody. The survival rate was 99.9%, and then immediately they throw in your face after Joe Biden calls out the blackness of everybody. They blow up the George Floyd story. It's always fear and the division.
Mm-hmm.
Fear and division. Oh, Donald Trump's trying to censor the internet. Well, the reality is that's not happening. Oh, shoot. Well, that didn't work. George Floyd, fear and division. And we have to be aware of who our true enemy is. We have to be aware of what's actually happening out there. And the closer we get to that, the better it's going to be, man. So that's part of the reason why I'm turning off the media for the month of June, man. I'm turning it off, Whaley. I'm turning it off. But here's the deal, man. When you come...
What? Oh, man. What's going on? Well, I apologize for that. We lost him. I'll try to get him back on. Okay. He might have lost his internet connection. Well, let me switch over to let's see. Does that work? Oh well. Webcam was going through Skype, so I'm gonna cut it off here. Everybody, thank you for watching. I hope that we made some sense. I hate how this tears us apart. I hate how this, how easily we get duped into a battle that isn't the actual battle. It was a battle back in the day, and I'm not saying that racism doesn't exist ever, but it is fringe. It is the fringes of our society. We had gone so far. We were so close, I think. And then things like critical race theory and ideas like systemic racism burst onto the scene and destroyed all that we had built. And
What happened, brah? What happened, man?
Well, it looked like your connection was bad.
Was it mine? Did I screw us up?
I don't know. I mean, I tried to call you back and you weren't online, so.
Sorry, dude. I was like, what the frick's going on, man? This is funny. So, bro, good show, man. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, I was closing it up, and I was just saying, like, I hate how we get divided. I hate how easily we get duped into a battle that isn't the real battle. And it was the battle. It was a battle quite a while ago, but we had gotten so close. And critical race theory and systemic racism and all these ideas burst onto the scene and suddenly erases everything that we had built. And then we see these things happen.
Yeah.
Okay, what's going on? It makes me sad. It makes me sad because I just want to treat people as individuals.
Yep.
I want to deal with situations as they come, and I want to not be at odds with friends over these ideas that are inherently divisive.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, evil.
Yep. Dude.
It's depressing. It really is. And then on top of that, the death and destruction that's going on across our country. Because the government and the media are so adept at manipulating us.
Welcome to Carney Land.
Yeah. It's
100%. All right, brother. I gotta bounce.
Yeah,
I
me
love
too.
you, man. Dude, the funniest TikTok message I've gotten. Okay, guns create more problems than they solve.
Yeah.
From an 18-year-old kid. My rebuttal: because when my 5'2", 120-pound wife runs into evil, I want her packing an equalizer and not become a victim because you're scared of a gun. Here's the reply: your wife, I'm sure, could protect herself. There's no need for guns. As I said, guns create harm in the world where there's already enough. My response: LOL, sure, Karen. You do you. I'll live in the real world and actually protect the people I love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Let's get rid of all guns, and then we can have the same conversation about knives, and then about bats, then about sticks, then about rocks.
I already had that conversation with her. I'm like, oh, it's funny because there's no guns in Britain and there's more stabbings and just as much death. So what are we talking about here? But I'm sure your 5'2", 120 wife can handle yourself if a huge monster comes running through the door. Give me a break, dude. Liberals. Liberal logic. All right, brother.
All right.
I'll talk to you later, man.
Peace out, everybody.
All right, brother. Bye.
Later.
See you, man.
Later.